Imagine Italian food with no tomatoes. Irish cuisine without a single potato. No chocolate, no chili peppers, no corn. Before 1492, none of those foods existed in Europe, because the Old World and New World had been completely separate. Then Columbus crossed the ocean, and suddenly everything changed. This is the Columbian Exchange, the biggest cultural swap in human history. When Christopher Columbus set sail in 1492, he wasn't just discovering new land, he was about to trigger the world's first global biological exchange. For tens of thousands of years, the Americas and Afro-Eurasia were isolated. Different animals, different plants, different diseases. But when Europeans arrived in the Americas, they brought horses, wheat, sugar, and smallpox, and returned home with corn, potatoes, tomatoes, cacao, and tobacco. It was a biological mashup that would reshape diets, economies, and empires. Historian Alfred Crosby coined the term Columbian Exchange to describe this worldwide remix of life. Let's start with the tasty part, food. From the Americas to Europe, Africa, and Asia came tomatoes. Italians didn't even use them in cooking until the 1700s. Potatoes became a staple in Poland, Russia, and in Ireland. The New World potato became so crucial that in 1845, its failure sparked a 7-year famine that killed nearly 1 in 8 people on the island. New World corn, or maize, fed livestock and people worldwide. Chocolate, or cacao, turned into a royal obsession in England. Chili peppers took over Indian and Thai cuisine. And there's more. Vanilla, beans, squash, peanuts, pineapples, avocados, all New World gifts. From Europe to the Americas came wheat, barley, and rice. These transformed global agriculture. Sugarcane fueled plantations and the transatlantic slave trade. Coffee took root in Brazil and changed mornings forever. Horses, pigs, cows, and sheep rebuilt indigenous ways of life. Indigenous diets and global cuisines would never be the same again. But not everything exchanged was delicious. Some things were deadly. The old world had centuries of disease immunity. The New World did not. Europeans brought smallpox, measles, influenza, and typhus. And the results were catastrophic. Over 50 and up to 90% of the indigenous population in the Americas died in the first century of contact. This was one of the worst demographic collapses in human history. Syphilis likely traveled the other way from the Americas to Europe. It spread fast and stuck around. The Columbian Exchange wasn't just about food and germs, it also built and broke empires. Sugar became Europe's obsession, but sugarcane plantations required cheap labor. So the Atlantic slave trade exploded. Millions of Africans were taken to the Americas, not just because of land, but because of sugar, tobacco, and silver. American crops made Europe rich. European animals reshaped American life, and African people and culture were forced into the mix. The result? A global economy, for better and worse. The Columbian Exchange wasn't a one-time deal. It was a turning point. It created the modern world. Italian pizza, built on tomatoes from Mexico. Irish stew, made with American potatoes. Indian curry, supercharged by New World chilies. Every time you eat chocolate, drink coffee, or sip a smoothie, you're living the legacy of the Columbian Exchange. It changed what we eat, how we farm, where we live, and even what we die from. One voyage, infinite consequences. History isn't just dates, it's secrets,